In today's episode,
The 7 Habits of Stoic Leaders, Leading with Strength, Integrity, and Calm, by Victor Odasnak.
All right, so are you ready to dive into Stoic leadership?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about the book, 7 Habits of Stoic Leaders,
What?
which is by Victor Odasnak, and it actually just came out this week, so November 20th, 2024.
Yeah, brand new book.
Brand new book. So we're really excited to take a look and see what he has to say.
Absolutely.
And see how it can maybe apply to our lives and to our leadership.
Yeah.
So the first habit that he talks about in the book is presence.
Yeah, and you know what's so interesting about that is that he kind of links it to this idea of amor fati, which really...
Which I love that concept.
Yeah.
Amor fati. Yeah.
It's powerful, right?
It is, yeah.
It's this idea that you embrace everything.
Yeah.
Not just the good, but the bad and the mixed.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that he talks about in the book is that the way you perceive things is the way that they are for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily about what happens to you, it's how you
React to
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your perception of it.
Yeah. And so I think about, I had a mentor who had a big client leave, and it was like...
Oh, that's the worst.
Well, it's devastating, right? It was really bad for him at the time. But what ended up happening was it forced him to reassess his business.
Right.
He ended up pivoting his business in a completely different direction and found even more success.
Interesting.
So, like, if he would just focused on, oh my gosh, this client left, this is terrible, this is the end of my business, he wouldn't have found that new area of growth.
And that's kind of the whole thing with presence too, is being able to respond and not react.
Exactly.
And so having that space between stimulus and response.
That space, right.
Yeah.
That's where the magic happens.
Exactly. So I love that.
Yeah.
So the second habit that he talks about is integrity. And I think, the thing that I love about this section of the book is that he really talks about how it's important to not just chase success, but to actually embody the person that you want to be.
Yeah.
And he talks about wisdom, courage, and justice, and how those things kind of all play a factor.
I love that he says, just like visualize the person you want to become.
Yeah.
And let your actions flow from that vision.
Yeah.
Because, it's so easy to get caught up in, all the external things.
Right.
But he really emphasizes that inner richness.
Yeah.
And remember that Seneca quote where he says, it's not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor.
Yeah. I love that quote.
Yeah. It's just so powerful.
And really, I think when you're talking about embodying the person that you want to be, it's, it's not just about hitting metrics. It's about how you treat people. It's about how you show up.
Yeah. Be the leader you'd want to work for.
Exactly. Yeah. Be the person that you'd be like,
yeah,
man, I want to work with that person.
Yeah, exactly.
So then the third habit is clarity.
Yeah.
And clarity is all about prioritizing what's essential in your life.
Yes. And, he has this really fascinating concept called premeditatio malorum, which sounds scary.
It sounds very intense.
It sounds really intense, but it's really just thinking about potential challenges in advance.
Okay.
So he's like, ask yourself this question. What would I regret not doing if my life took a sudden turn?
Yeah.
And when you think about that, it really helps you get clear on what matters.
It does.
Like if you knew you only had a certain amount of time left,
yeah,
what would you focus on?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's the relationships.
Yeah.
It's their loved ones.
Yeah.
It's spending time doing things that they really enjoy.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily,
it's not work.
Working a job that they don't like.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that that's a really powerful exercise that he has in there.
It is. And especially today with so much distraction, with digital distraction, with everything else, it's so easy to get distracted.
Oh, it's so easy.
And it's so easy to not be clear.
Absolutely. And so I think that's why he emphasizes turn off the notifications, carve out some time for focus work, really make space for what matters.
Yes.
So you're not constantly distracted by everything.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's clarity.
That's clarity.
Yeah.
So we've talked about presence, integrity, and clarity.
Yes.
And what's great is that there is a whole annex in this book where he talks about exercises and techniques that you can actually implement to make these things happen in your life.
Put them into practice.
Put them into practice, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into that next time we're together.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back, and we are going to jump into the annex of 7 Habits of Stoic Leaders.
All right, let's do it.
Which I'm super excited about because, you can talk about all these concepts, but how do you actually implement them?
Yeah, exactly.
He gives us some really cool tools in here.
Yeah, he does.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the 5-minute mindfulness check-in. And this is for presence. So this is really when you are feeling stressed or overwhelmed or you need a reset.
Yeah, you need a reset.
This is a great thing to do.
And it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's just 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
Find a quiet place and focus on your breath.
Yeah, and what I love about this is that he gives you like a specific way to breathe.
He does.
It's not just like breathe. He's like, breathe in through your nose for a count of 4.
Yes.
Hold for 4, and then exhale through your mouth for 6.
That extended exhale.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because it really calms your nervous system.
It does.
It's like hitting the pause button on your brain.
Yeah.
And so then once you've kind of calmed your body down with your breath, then you can start to think about, okay, what is the challenge that I'm facing? And then you can start to look at it as, okay, well, how is this a growth opportunity?
Yeah.
And that's really reframing that challenge.
Yeah, love that.
And then last but not least, he says, think about something you're grateful for.
Yeah.
Just to end on a positive note.
Yeah, love that.
So that's the 5-minute mindfulness check-in.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the integrity compass.
Okay.
Now, this is all about aligning your actions with your values. And so what you do is you identify your top 3 core values.
Yeah.
So maybe it's wisdom, courage, and justice or something like that.
Right.
And then you brainstorm specific behaviors that demonstrate each value.
Yeah, it's not enough to just say, I value courage.
Right.
It's what does courage actually look like?
Yes, exactly.
In your daily life.
Yeah, so maybe courage looks like,
Yeah.
Speaking up when you see something wrong.
Yeah, speaking truth to power.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe it's, tackling a really difficult problem.
Yeah, or taking on a challenge that
Yeah.
you don't know if you can do, but you're going to go for it anyway.
Absolutely.
So once you have those behaviors written down, then it's like, okay, well, how can I implement these things?
Right.
How can I make sure that I'm using this compass to guide my actions?
Mm-hmm.
And so Odosnek also says to use it for reflection.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day or the end of the week,
Mm-hmm.
think about, did my actions align with my values?
Yeah, how did I do?
How did I do? Where did I fall short? Where did I really shine?
And celebrate those wins.
Yes,
Too.
exactly.
It's not just about what you did wrong, but also...
No, it's about celebrating the wins too.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that is the integrity compass.
Love that.
Okay, let's move on to clarity. So one of the things that he talks about for clarity is the Essentialist's weekly reflection.
Oh, yeah. This is a good one.
So this is all about Sunday evening, maybe carving out some time on Sunday evening to reflect and plan for the week ahead.
Yeah, just to reset.
To reset.
Yeah.
And so he suggests first doing a gratitude check.
Yeah.
Which we all know is a good thing to do.
Yeah, start with gratitude.
Start with gratitude, exactly.
Yeah.
And then an energy assessment.
Oh, I love this.
So what drained your energy during the week and what energized you?
Yes.
And I think that is so powerful because how often do we really think about that?
We don't.
Like what actually gave me energy this week?
Yeah.
And what sucked the life out of me?
Right. And then you can use that information to set boundaries for the week ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, this thing really drained me.
Yeah.
I need to make sure I don't do that next week.
Or if you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
How can you set some boundaries around it?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not as draining.
Exactly. Or this thing really energized me. I need to do more of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, obviously he ties this back to your core values,
Mm-hmm.
to making sure that you're spending your time and energy on what matters most to you.
Yeah.
So then we move on to adversity.
Okay.
So everyone faces challenges
Everyone does.
in life. That is just part of being human.
Yeah.
But the way that we respond to those challenges is really what matters.
It is.
And that's what builds resilience.
Yeah.
So he has some really cool tools in here for dealing with adversity.
He does.
The first one is the challenge journal.
Oh, yeah. I love this one.
And so basically every time you face a challenge, you write it down
Mm-hmm.
along with your initial thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And then you can go back and review those entries.
Yeah. What are the patterns?
What are the patterns? Am I always reacting in the same way? Is there something that I can learn from this?
Yeah. And just reminding yourself that adversity is fuel for growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's not something to be afraid of.
It's,
Challenges are actually opportunities to become better.
Yes, love that.
And then he also recommends having a growth mindset mantra.
Yes.
So maybe it's every challenge is a chance to grow.
I love that.
You know, or something like that you can repeat to yourself throughout the day.
Yeah.
Just to kind of reframe your thinking.
Keep it top of mind.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's adversity.
that's adversity. We're moving right along here.
We are.
Acceptance.
Okay.
Learning to accept reality as it does not as we wish it were.
Yeah.
That is such a powerful thing.
It is.
You know, it can be very freeing.
Absolutely.
And so he suggests a tool called the Reality Check Journal.
Okay.
Now, this is similar to the Challenge Journal, but this one is specifically about situations where your acceptance was tested.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe someone cut you off in traffic and you got really mad.
Yeah.
So you write about that event.
Yeah.
Your initial reaction.
Judgment.
Your judgment, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you dig a little deeper. So what was the reality behind the other person's actions?
Yeah, maybe they were rushing to the hospital.
Exactly. Or maybe they just made a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, we all make mistakes.
We all do.
And so, it's about cultivating empathy.
Yes.
And understanding.
Yeah.
And so he even suggests writing a more compassionate response.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, like what would you say to that person?
Yeah.
If you were coming from a place of compassion.
Instead of anger.
Instead of anger. Yes.
Yeah.
So then he also suggests something called the empathy walk.
Oh, yeah.
So you choose a public space.
Like a park?
Like a park, yeah, or a cafe,
Mm.
and you just observe the people around you without judgment. Just notice their body language.
Yeah.
Notice how they're interacting.
Yeah.
And then he suggests creating backstories for these people.
Oh, I love that.
You know, what might they be feeling?
What's their story?
What's their story? What challenges are they facing? And then he even challenges you to strike up a conversation with one of these people.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of step outside of your comfort zone.
Put it into practice.
And build those connections.
Yeah, I love that.
So I think that's such a beautiful exercise.
It is.
You know, just to kind of get us out of our own heads
Yeah.
and connect with the shared human experience.
Yes.
Okay. So moving on to harmony.
Okay.
Harmony is all about recognizing our role in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know, how can we act in ways that benefit not just ourselves, but the whole?
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that he suggests is doing daily acts of kindness.
Oh, I love that.
So making a conscious effort to do something kind for someone else each day.
Yeah.
You know, it could be something as simple as holding the door open for someone.
It could be. Yeah. Complimenting a colleague.
Yes, exactly. Or maybe it's, helping a neighbor with their groceries or something.
Absolutely.
So just small things that can make a big difference.
They can.
And then he also suggests keeping a harmony journal.
Okay.
And reflecting on, what did I do today to help others?
Mm-hmm.
How did I connect with nature?
Yeah.
What did I learn about the interconnectedness of my actions?
Love that.
And if you want to take it a step further, he has the Community Connection Challenge,
Oh, yeah.
which is a 30-day challenge focused on engaging with your community.
Yeah.
So it could be joining a community cleanup,
Yeah.
volunteering for a charity,
Mm-hmm.
or starting a conversation with a neighbor you haven't met before. So it's
Yeah.
really about getting out there and building those connections.
I love that.
Okay, last but not least, we have daily reflection.
Okay.
Now, this is a big one
It is.
in the Stoic world.
Mm-hmm.
And so he makes it really easy with a practice called the 5-minute pause.
Okay.
So he suggests choosing a specific time each evening,
Mm-hmm.
setting a reminder,
Yeah.
and finding a quiet place
Yeah.
where you can sit without distractions.
Yeah. No phones.
No phones, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you gather your reflection tools.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it's a journal, maybe it's an app,
Yeah.
maybe it's prompt cards with questions.
I love that.
That you can
Yeah.
ask yourself.
Yeah.
And then you engage in the 5-minute reflection. So you
Okay.
start with a few deep breaths, that 4-count breathing that we talked about earlier.
Mm.
And then you spend 5 minutes answering some reflective questions like, what went well today? What challenges did I face? How did I respond? What could I have done differently?
Mm.
And what am I grateful for?
Love it.
And then you end with a positive affirmation.
Yes.
So something like, I am learning every day, or I am growing stronger.
Yeah.
Just something to kind of leave you on a positive note.
I love that.
And then to track your progress, he suggests reviewing your reflections at the end of each week.
Yeah.
So you can really see how far you've come.
Yeah.
So that is a very quick overview
It is.
of the annex.
Yes.
I highly recommend that you check out the book to really dive deep into all of these tools.
Me too. There's so much good stuff in there.
Yes, there is.
So many practical things you can apply.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about AI.
Oh, yes.
And how that relates to all of this.
I can't wait.
So stay tuned.
Okay, so you ready to talk AI?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm super curious about this section of the book.
Yeah, it's a really interesting take.
Okay.
So he kind of lays out these two potential futures that we could see in the age of AI.
Okay.
So one is the digital renaissance.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, right.
It's promising.
And then the other is the walled garden.
Okay, so those sound very different.
Very different.
Let's start with digital renaissance.
Okay, so digital renaissance, imagine a world where AI is handling all of those tasks that we don't want to do.
Yeah, like the mundane stuff.
Yeah, all the boring stuff.
Okay.
So it frees us up to be more creative, to be more innovative.
So technology is actually helping us.
It's helping us, yeah.
Okay.
It's enhancing our lives.
I like that.
You know, we have more time for leisure, for connection, for purpose.
Yeah, like it's actually giving us more humanity.
Exactly.
Instead of taking it away.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
That's the digital renaissance.
Okay, so what about the walled garden?
Okay, so this is a little bit more of a cautionary tale.
Okay.
So imagine a world where all the benefits of AI are controlled by a select few.
Oh, so it creates more inequality.
It creates more inequality, yeah.
Oh,
Because, so, you know, those who aren't deemed essential in this new economy, they're going to face, you know, a lack of purpose, maybe unemployment.
Yeah, it's like it almost widens that gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Exactly, yeah, it widens the gap.
Okay.
And, you know, he acknowledges that the reality is probably going to fall somewhere in between these two extremes.
Okay.
But, you know, it's really just a reminder to think critically about these ethical implications.
Of AI, yeah.
Yeah, and how we develop and use this technology.
Yeah, because it's really a tool, right?
It is a tool. It's not inherently good or bad.
Right, it's how we use it.
It's how we use it.
That matters.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so how do we prepare for this future?
Well, you know, he talks about how Stoicism can actually really help us navigate this uncertainty. Because those core principles, you know, focusing on what you can control, accepting what you can't, committing to living virtuously, those become even more important.
Okay.
You know, when we're facing a world that's changing so rapidly.
It's not that inner stability.
It is, yeah. It's that inner stability.
And it becomes so important.
Yeah.
So what does he say about, you know, how we should be approaching AI? Should we be rejecting technology?
You know, what's interesting is that he's actually really optimistic about the potential of AI.
Okay.
He doesn't think that we should reject it.
Okay.
He thinks that we should embrace it.
Okay.
But use it in a way that enhances our lives.
I like that.
You know, use it as a tool for growth.
Yeah, and he even talks about using AI to support our Stoic practice.
He does, yeah.
Which I think is super interesting.
I do too.
Like imagine using ChatGPT to help you reflect, or having an AI-powered app that helps you build these habits.
Right, yeah. And he's actually developing an app.
He is, yeah.
That's going to help people do this.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I think he's really walking the walk there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not just talk.
He's putting it into action.
He's putting it into action.
I love that.
So yeah, I think he's cautiously optimistic, I would say.
Yeah, cautiously optimistic.
Oh, about the future.
Yeah, but I also really like that he emphasizes that, you know, we don't have to be afraid.
Yeah.
You know, we can use these tools to actually improve our lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
And to create a better future.
A better future for everyone.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a really fascinating conversation.
It has.
I love this book.
Me too.
I'm so glad that we got to dive into it.
Me too. It's really thought-provoking.
It is. Yeah, and it's given us so much to think about.
So much, yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into 7 Habits of Stoic Leaders.
Yes.
And that you'll check out the book yourself.
Absolutely.
There's so much more that we didn't even get to cover.
So much, yeah.
But until next time, keep seeking.
Keep growing.
Keep growing.
And keep diving deep.
Yes, I love that.
Awesome.
You've listened to our latest episode of Right Here, Right Now,